Years of radiation from nuclear testing has given birth to a family of mutated humans in the desert that prey on travelers, and this couple and their children are about to run straight into them. In a desert in New Mexico, a team of scientists in hazmat suits is checking the radiation levels, when they are attacked, brutally killed, and dragged away attached to the back of a truck. In a nearby abandoned mining town, a gas station worker awakens after hearing some noises. He goes out to see who it is and finds no one. He returns to find a bag lying on his doorstep and yells out to someone that he doesn't want to do this anymore. Reluctantly, he takes the bag inside, and in it, he finds a bunch of random possessions and one container with a human ear in it. Next, the Carter family arrives at the station to fill gas in their car. The family includes parents Bob, a former detective, and Ethel, their 3 children, Lynn, Brenda, and Bobby, Lynn's husband Doug and their baby daughter Catherine, and their 2 German shepherds, Beauty and Beast. They are headed to San Diego by road to celebrate Bob and Ethel's silver anniversary. Doug expresses annoyance over the fact that Bob got them all to make this trip by road instead of flying, but Lynn tells him to be nice to her parents. While they get gas and stretch their legs, unbeknownst to them, a little girl is observing them and going through their possessions. The dog Beauty gets out of the car and goes into the worker's room. Lynn follows the dog inside and the worker catches her. He becomes worried, thinking that Lynn might have seen the incriminating bag of possessions he brought in earlier. After this, he comes out and tells Bob that there is a passage through the hills that isn't on the map, but will save them a couple of hours on their trip. Bob thanks the worker, and the Carters get on their way. Bob takes the passage through the hills as advised, because why wouldn't you listen to a random stranger in the middle of nowhere advising you to drive into an isolated desert? After traveling through the hills for a while, the car runs into some spikes, causing it to blow all of its tires and crash into a boulder. Before the family can get out, someone removes the spikes from the road. The entire family gets out to make sure everyone is okay, and the dogs run toward the hills, prompting Bobby to go after them. Unbeknownst to him, someone in the hills is watching. Bob tells Doug that the car is totaled, and their only option is that he and Doug go on foot and try to find help. As they prepare for the long walk, the rest of the Carter family decides to relax. Brenda even decides it's a good time for sunbathing. Bob hands Bobby a gun and keeps one for himself. Meanwhile, Lynn notices something reflecting light in the hills, but then the reflection disappears. Bob decides he is going to walk back to the gas station to find help, and Doug says that he is going to continue down the dirt road they were on and see if he can make it to the freeway. Before the 2 men leave, Ethel insists that they pray, and while they do that, someone in the hills is revealed to be watching them through binoculars. After the 2 men leave, Brenda leaves the trailer door open and Beauty runs out toward the hills. Bobby chases after her, and after some time he hears the dog's screams in the distance which alarm him. He walks around for a bit more, and then he finds Beauty's mutilated body. He is horrified by the sight and runs back to warn the others, but he slips, falls, and gets knocked out. As he is lying unconscious, a deformed girl named Ruby arrives and observes him. A few drops of blood fall on his face, and Ruby looks up to see a deformed man named Goggle eating one of Beauty's legs. She gets worried. A little way down the dirt road, Doug finds a massive crater where lots of abandoned and totaled cars, trailers, and buses are parked. Meanwhile, night falls and Bob finally reaches the gas station. He enters and finds the bag with the human ear in it, which makes him realize that something is wrong here. He goes into the workers' room, which is empty, and finds newspaper clippings on the wall. The clippings reveal that this region was once a mining town where the government conducted nuclear tests. Apparently, the radiation from the tests caused the families in the region to give birth to deformed, mutated children. One family in the town went missing, and after some time, reports of mysterious disappearances of travelers passing through the region started coming in, puzzling authorities. Bob is horrified, and he rushes out to get back to his family. He finds the worker in the bathroom, crying and drinking. He reveals that an entire family of mutants grew up in the mines, and he did what he could to help their kids. But he can't do it anymore. He shoots himself in the head. Then, Bob starts hearing voices all around him. He rushes toward the worker's car, but unbeknownst to him, the leader of the mutant family, Jupiter, is sitting in the back seat. He knocks Bob out and takes him into the mines along with some other mutants. Meanwhile, Brenda goes out to look for Bobby, who still hasn't returned. Ruby is still sitting by his side guarding him, and apparently she even protected him from Goggle, but when she hears Brenda coming, she runs away. Bobby returns, and Ethel attends to his wound, but he doesn't tell the rest of the family what he saw. He hears Beast outside barking at something and goes to investigate with the gun in his hand. He discovers that Beast is gone, and just then Doug returns. He tells the family about the crater he saw, and they ask him if he made it to the freeway, but he replies that there is no freeway. The dirt road dead ends at the crater. They realize that the gas station worker lied to them. The entire family starts getting ready for bedtime, since they will obviously be sleeping in the desert tonight. Bobby tries to tell Doug what he saw, but in his panicked state, he's not able to find the words. Doug just assumes that he's worried because Bob isn't back yet, and reassures him that his dad is tough and will be back soon. The entire family goes to sleep, and Bobby stays up in anxiety. He hears Beast barking outside and goes to investigate, but this leaves the door open, and one of the mutants named Pluto sneaks into the trailer. Pluto creepily admires a sleeping Brenda, and when she wakes up and tries to scream, he covers her mouth. Outside, Bobby hears laughter around him and goes to tell Doug and Lynn, who slept in the car, what he saw earlier in the day. He theorizes that there are some people in these hills, and Doug decides to investigate the matter with him. As the two are about to enter the trailer, Pluto presses a button on a remote, and a nearby tree is lit on fire. A closer look reveals that Bob is tied to that tree. While the entire family is occupied by this horrifying spectacle, Brenda is still held down by Pluto, and another mutant named Lizard enters the trailer. After doing some disgusting things like eating the pet birds, Lizard forces himself onto Brenda, but her screams are not heard because the rest of the family is too busy trying to put the fire out and save Bob. Finally, Lynn hears the commotion inside the trailer and rushes to check. She enters the trailer and finds Pluto forcing himself onto Brenda and Lizard holding her baby. She beats Lizard up with a pan, but when he points a gun at her baby, she has no choice but to comply with his perverted demands. Ethel enters the trailer and tries to drop a heavy rock on Lizard's head, but he shoots her in the stomach. Taking advantage of the chaos, Lynn stabs Lizard in the leg with a screwdriver, and he retaliates by shooting her directly in the head. Doug and Bobby hear the commotion and head toward the trailer, but before they can reach, the mutants escape. Doug enters the trailer to find his wife dead, his mother-in-law on her last breaths, and his baby missing. He is horrified. Goggle is watching all this go down through binoculars, and just then, Beast attacks and kills him. In the trailer, Ethel passes away. Brenda sits traumatized, and Bobby and Doug argue about what to do now. Bobby wants revenge, but Doug says they need a plan, otherwise they'll get killed too. Just then, they hear someone outside, but when they step out, they find that it's just a voice on a walkie-talkie, which is held in a severed arm. It is revealed that Beast has returned with the severed arm of Goggle. Doug hears the mutants communicating over the walkie-talkie and demands them to give back his daughter. In response, they just make him listen to Catherine crying. Enraged, Doug decides that he is going to get his daughter back. He gets Beast to follow the trail of blood left behind by Lizard's injured leg and finds the lair of the mutants. He goes through the entire lair and comes out the other side, where he sees an abandoned town in the distance. Meanwhile, Brenda lights a tire on fire, hoping someone would see the smoke and come to help them, and Bobby works on setting up a system that would let them know if one of the mutants was near the trailer. Doe arrives in the abandoned town, which is revealed to be a test village set up for atomic bomb trials. He finds a working generator outside one of the houses and looks in through the window to see Catherine lying on a bed. He sneaks into the house, past a mutant named Big Mama, and tries to leave with Catherine, but Big Mama spots him and knocks him out. Next, Doug wakes up in a refrigerator full of human body parts and freaks out. He breaks the refrigerator door to get out. Walking around the house, he finds a mutant named Big Brain, who explains that his people were asked to leave this town by the government, and when they refused, the military forced them out, and they went into the mines. After the nuclear bombs were tested, they became the deformed creatures they are now from the radiation. Just then, Pluto arrives and starts attacking Doug. After a long struggle with Pluto, during which Beast helps and Doug loses 2 of his fingers, Doug finally manages to trick Pluto as he begs the mutant for mercy, but then shoves a screwdriver in his foot, a sharp tiny flagpole in his neck, and his own axe into his head. As Doug kills another mutant and steals his shotgun, Big Brain contacts Lizard and tells him to kill Catherine. Just then, Beast spots Big Brain and devours him. As Doug goes from house to house looking for Catherine, Ruby arrives in the room where she is kept. Lizard is getting ready to slaughter the baby, and it is revealed that Ruby is the only mutant who is not a monster, as she replaces Catherine with a pig and runs away before Lizard finds out. As Ruby runs up a hill with Catherine, Doug hears the baby crying and chases after her. Back at the trailer, Bobby's warning system tells him that someone is nearby, and he goes out, gun raised, looking for the mutant. They find no one, but when they come back, they notice that Ethel's body has been dragged away. He tells Brenda to get in the trailer and set up the trap they discussed, and goes out chasing the trail left behind by the body. He finds the mutant Jupiter devouring Ethel's body. Jupiter chases after Bobby, but unbeknownst to him, Brenda has opened up 2 canisters of gas in the trailer and attached a bunch of matches to the door. Bobby enters the trailer but gets out of a window with Brenda. When Jupiter opens the door, the matches are lit, and the trailer explodes, killing the mutant. On the other hand, Doug catches up with Ruby, and she is about to hand the baby to him when Lizard arrives and beats Doug senseless. As this is going on, Ruby runs away and Lizard chases after her. He catches up with the girl, but just then, an enraged Doug arrives and beats the mutant to a pulp before shooting him several times. Ruby hands Catherine to Doug, who breathes a sigh of relief. By the power of plot convenience, Lizard gets up and grabs the shotgun, but before he can shoot, Ruby throws herself at him, causing both mutants to fall off the cliff and die. Doug returns to the trailer site with Catherine and Beast, and reunites with Bobby and Brenda. As the Carter family hugs, it is revealed that someone in the hills is still watching them through binoculars. The end. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.